bought this clamping cutting edge guide from Harbor Freight. It was on sale for $40. And give a little product review on it. I've got some Formica board that I have to cut for a shelving project that I'm working on. But I just figured I'd give an honest review on it and see how it works out. I do have their smaller one. It's just a 52 inch, but I want to cut 8-foot long boards. So I went ahead and bought their 100 one because the 8-foot long is 96 inches. So I want to see how well it cuts and if it's going to cut a straight line or not. I figured y'all might want to know if you want to buy one or just use the edge of a board, straight board. So, all right, let's get into it and see what we can come up with. Here we go. Right out of the box, this is pretty straight. I don't see any gaps on this Formica that would cause me to concern myself with it not being straight or square. Also lay it up to the side. Pretty straight. This side doesn't appear to be straight up. This side's got a little rock to it. This side right here looks like it's where we need to be at. So one side's straight, one side's got looks like about a 1/4 inch gap. That's not too good. We'll just have to mark the side that's a straight edge. Not that big a deal, but I did have to build a little boxes. A couple of little boxes for my sheets to go on. The picture shows that they use sawhorses. This clamping mechanism goes at the bottom. I'll show you here. Clamping mechanism goes face down so your saw doesn't run into it, which makes sense, but it's also about 2 inches of a gap that you have to deal with. As far as you can't put it directly on the ground and clamp it in place and get it to work. So it's got to be flipped over so that the board has to be at least 3 inches off the ground for the track to work properly. And I did mark my straight edge here at the other end so I would know to use that on my cutting side of my saw. So I'm going to get my board set up and get this put in place. Just one last thing. There's 2 clamping mechanisms. This is off to where it slides the rail. In this direction is your 50, so you would lock it in place with your 50 inch cut, and then the opposite direction obviously you would lock your 100 inch, and it leaves this one loose. So it seems to operate pretty well. So let's get into it and see if we can see how well it works. So the plan is, got a brand new fine tooth blade, and I'm going to cut 1/4 of the way into the Formica, and then once I cut through 1/4 of the way, I'm going to drop the blade back down to a 3/4 inch cut, and then I'll cut the second pass. So The second pass will allow me to know if this straight edge is gonna stay true to its cut. I'm gonna do that to each one of them because of the way Formica cuts. You have to cut the top board and then you cut the rest of the way through. That way you get a smooth surface without chip out. So we'll give it a shot and run through a couple of them, see what we can come up with and see how well this straight edge cuts. All right, here we go. You can see there's a tiny mismatch. Not bad. A light sanded would take that right off. It may be a 32nd of an inch, maybe even a 64th of an inch. So there is a slight bit of movement, but if you keep hold of your saw, it's not enough to make a damage or a dent in your finished product. So the first cut, I would say, is satisfactory. I'm going to take a tape measure to it and see what it looks like. I would have to rate this a 7 out of 10 if I were going for it. There's a few little issues with it. Obviously the length, it's going to be hard to hold anything perfectly straight. I would say you have an 1/8 of an inch sway in the center of your cuts. Even if I'm holding the saw perfectly straight or attempting to hold it straight and cutting it, it's still gonna flex right here in the center a little bit because it's got no clamping pressure here. It does hold pretty tight, but there was that second board that I cut at the very end, I just picked the clamp up, so I might not have had it seated all the way down before I tightened it. But would I pay $40 for it? Absolutely. I'm not going to worry about a 1/16 or 1/16 of an inch on an 8-foot cut. That ain't too bad. I have 15 3/4 most of the board all the way through on the cuts. It's just in the center. It goes to maybe 15 5/8, so that's a blade length that is moving in or out. So not a bad deal for the price. I haven't used the 50-inch cut because I have a 50-inch cut guide already, and I would say if I were to grade it, it would probably be less. It would probably be a 5 out of 10 because it's got a lot of movement in it. Even no matter how tight you clamp it down, you almost need to put screws in the center of it to hold it tight, and it's a Harbor Freight one also. So this one right here, as far as the 100-inch, absolutely. It's a lot thicker. It's rigid. I think it's pretty durable. Obviously you wouldn't want to jump on it. It is made of aluminum. The negative is there's one side that was bowed. Obviously the straight is already worn off from the saw blade, the marker that I marked on here, so I'll probably have to indicate it on the top side and put an arrow. There is a 1/4 inch bow on one side of it, clamping pressure could be a little bit stronger. Other than that, you're not going to get a perfectly straight cut out of any of them unless you use a square tubing or something like that. Or, I mean, you could use a piece of this OSB that I'm using. So there's different options, but for 40 bucks, I would highly recommend it. No sponsor except for let's drink some more water. And thanks for watching. Y'all have a good one.